injury.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. From the four corners of the world, to the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
So close.
How do you like it?
Oh, for sure. So aggressive, so close.
Look at these two guys! Still the undisputed champion of the world!
We welcome you to Fight Night in Glendale, just west of Phoenix, Arizona, where tonight the questions that have been brewing for nearly a year in the flyweight division get answered. Matchroom closes out its U.S. schedule in 2023 with a flyweight unification between Jesse Bam Rodriguez and Sonny Edwards on DAZN. And good evening, everybody. It's Justin Shackle welcoming you to before we get you set for a big night of boxing here in Arizona. Coming up on DAZN, 8 Eastern, 6 p.m. local, it is the main card, which leads us in to our main event. There will be one 112-pounder that can claim supremacy by the end of the night. The WBO flyweight champion, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, squaring off with the IBF flyweight champion, Edwards, in an authentic 50-50 unification fight that has all the makings to be a fight of the year contender. It is 1 versus 2 at 112 pounds. And there's been heavy debate on who exactly is 1 and who is 2 between Edwards and Rodriguez. Before all that gets kicked off, we have 4 bouts for you on Before the Bell. And it will start off with Joe McGrail, who's making his U.S. debut against Phoenix area native Edgar Ortiz Jr. Then another featherweight contest, Albert Gonzalez out of Riverside, California, out of Robert Garcia's gym. He will take on Alexis Molina at 154 pounds. Junaid Boston makes his debut. He'll be taking on Detroit's Gordy Russ, a couple of knockout artists in that fight on Before the Bell. And then our 4th and final contest at Super Bantamweight, Arturo Cardenas, another pupil of Robert Garcia, will take on Carlos Mujica. Again, that leads us into the main card, starting up at 8 Eastern, 6 p.m. local here in Glendale. Peter McGrail will make his U.S. debut against Detroit's Jericho O'Quinn, the WBA Continental Super Bantamweight title on the line there. Gal Yafai, Rocco Santamaro in action as Yafai looks to defend his WBC flyweight title, and then a WBA Super Bantamweight title eliminator, the former unified champ MJ Akhmadaliev, back in the ring to take on the undefeated Kevin Gonzalez. The main event will follow for the WBO and IBF flyweight world titles. Jesse Bam Rodriguez going toe-to-toe with Sonny Edwards.
Of December, Arizona, we go to work.
Jesse Rodriguez against Sonny Edwards is just a fantastic fight.
You now have one piece of the 112-pound crown. What do you want to do next?
Sonny Edwards, that's the only option.
I want to see an undisputed champion in the flyweight division.
Sign the contract.
Bam Rodriguez is probably the biggest puncher in the division.
That's the reason he's Livestream and with DAZN.
I think this is genuinely the elite.
The big unification to come against Jesse Rodriguez.
He's going to have to be switched on to every single second of every single round.
Bam Rodriguez, where are you?
Rodriguez putting on the performance of a lifetime!
Oh, lovely long left hook.
All in, sink or swim.
This one of the best fights of the year, pound for pound.
Well, this night has been in the making for quite some time. You saw Bam Rodriguez, after his win over Christian Gonzalez in April in San Antonio, call out Sonny Edwards in the ring. You saw Edwards call out Bam Rodriguez, asking where Bam is in his last fight in his Matchroom debut in the early summer. Well, they will meet later tonight. They were calling each other out. They were cordial in their first meetup at the launch press Orlando, and then as fight week began here in Glendale, the action, the drama starting to pick up a little bit. Sonny Edwards as chippy as ever as we approach fight night. This is some action in the press conference as Sonny Edwards and Bam Rodriguez met face-to-face behind the mics on Thursday.
Take your seats, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Take your seats. Fun and games in the last press conference, and now we go on to the real big stuff. As I said, I think one of the fights of the year.
The reason why I laid off on you, yeah, because I know through conversations with this man in between us how hard it was to get you and your team to accept this fight, what you was asking for, how long it took, the weeks after weeks. You wanted to go back to super flyweight, wanted to fight him. You didn't want this fight. Robert Garcia, who got turned up, didn't want this fight. If I didn't want this fight, I wouldn't be here. No. None of you wanted this fight. Let's be real. Let's be real. It took you about 3 months to accept the fight.
That's why we're here.
Jesse, can you stop this man?
Yes.
That's the intention?
Yes.
I see the look in your face.
I'm ready.
You'd quite like to do that, wouldn't you?
I'm ready.
Well, this face-to-face on Thursday following the press conference lasted just over 7 minutes between these two. And after jawing pretty much the entire build-up to this week, Sonny Edwards finally got a little smack talk back from Bam Rodriguez. Sonny believes he got under Bam's skin here, maybe broke him a little bit. Bam dishing it back just a little bit. And then yesterday at the weigh-in, Bam Rodriguez a little tardy. Sonny Edwards says, well, heck with that, I'm going back to the hotel. So Sonny left, then came back, then they weighed in, both weighing in at 111.6 pounds for this unification battle and exchanging some final words before they face off later tonight. Bam Rodriguez, Sonny Edwards, the final face-off as you see there, putting their titles on the line in order to be crowned a true #1 at 112 pounds. There are a lot of keys, a lot of questions that people want answered to this one because it is so unpredictable. I think there are a few key points that will take you throughout the Before the Bell contest as we weave in and out 4 entertaining matches. It will lead to the main card again at 8 Eastern, 6 p.m. local. The main event, Bam Rodriguez, Sonny Edwards. A terrific night of boxing awaits us here in Arizona, all leading into next weekend in Saudi Arabia for the Day of Reckoning.
Live on DAZN pay-per-view, December 23rd. Day of Reckoning. The sun is rising as the biggest names in boxing. Joshua versus Wilder.
Joshua right hand!
Wilder versus Parker. Headline a history-making boxing card.
There he goes.
Witness the furnace of fight night. Reckoning is in the ring. Live on DAZN pay-per-view, December 23rd. Buy now at DAZN.com.
It's going to be a good one, only 1 week away now from the Day of Reckoning. We're moments away from getting the action started here on Before the Bell, and to kick it off, it will be the U.S. debut of Liverpool's Joe McGrail. He'll be taking on Phoenix area native Edgar Ortiz Jr. McGrail 7-0, 3 knockouts. You see Ortiz weighing in on your screen. 8-4-2 with 4 knockouts. This will be for 6 rounds at 126 pounds. McGrail looking to move to 8-0 in his first ever trip to the U.S. He and his brother Peter competing on this card. One of 4 British fighters on this card. Ortiz trying to end a 3-fight winless streak. As you see the final stare down, intensity picking up just a little bit in this one. So this is a real treat because it's not just Sonny Edwards coming stateside to try and back up the talk and back up what makes him one of the best pound-for-pound British fighters in the game today. You're also seeing dreams fulfilled from several other young British fighters. That's pretty rare. You don't also always see young British fighters making the jump over and competing in the U.S. at a young age. We saw Galia Fai do it last year, but Galia Fai a little bit older than the likes of the McGrail brothers, the likes of Junaid Boston. So this is a big night for several fighters, including 2 on our Before the Bell card. Joe McGrail, like we mentioned, will start us off. You'll have Junaid Boston in a little bit against Gordy Russ II. Corey Erdman, Sergio Mora, Sofia Gutierrez will be ringside. They will have the call for you for our opening bout, McGrail and Ortiz here on Before the Bell. Without further ado, let's go into the ring with David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Desert Diamond Arena here in Glendale, Arizona, USA. We are live on DAZN for a big night of World Championship Professional Boxing. We begin tonight with a 6-round featherweight affair set to make his ring walk, Edgar Ortiz Jr.
And as Edgar Ortiz Jr. makes the ring walk, let's toss it over to Corey Erdman and the Latin Snake, Sergio Mora.
Thank you so much, Justin. And oddly enough, this man, Edgar Ortiz Jr., is the only local representation on our card here tonight. Ortiz was born at Compton, but has called Phoenix home for his adult life. And thanks to a vibrant local boxing scene here, has had 11 of his 14 pro bouts in the greater Phoenix region. The most recent of those came on the Jake Paul Anderson Silva undercard, where he was stopped by fellow Phoenix resident Danny Barrios. Tonight, he looks to bounce back on his second straight major fight undercard in the place he calls home.
And now entering the arena, please welcome the undefeated Joe McGrail.
For the Fighting McGrail family, as Joe McGrail looks to set the table for his brother Peter McGrail, who will fight on our main telecast a little bit later on. Unlike his brother Peter, who represented Great Britain at the 2020 Olympics, Joe cut his sparkling amateur career short after seeing his brother enter the pro ranks. The McGrail fighting lineage goes back to Jimmy McGrail, who fought for a British welterweight title in the 60s, and even beyond that. However, the hopes for this 21-year-old are much higher than just domestic glory. Both he and his brother have not just world title aspirations, but forecasts of world titles in their future.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, good evening and welcome to the Desert Diamond Arena here in Glendale, Arizona, USA. We are live on DAZN for a big night of World Championship professional boxing. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Bet Online, Stagefront, and O'Reilly Auto Parts, the professional parts people. All of tonight's bouts are sanctioned under the Arizona Boxing Commission. The executive director is Danny A. Vella. The chairman is Scott Fletcher. Introducing your three judges scoring our first contest from ringside. From the United Kingdom, Steve Gray. From Poland, Gregors Malenda. And from the United States of America, Jesse Reyes. At the sound of the bell, your third man in the ring, referee Mark Kaloy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 6 rounds of boxing scheduled in the featherweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, he wears the black and red. He scaled 123 pounds. His professional record, 8 wins against 4 defeats. He has 2 draws with 4 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Phoenix, Arizona. Please welcome Edgar Ortiz Jr. Ortiz Jr. And his opponent across the ring fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the black trunks with the red and blue trim. He scaled 125 3/4 pounds. His professional record thus far perfect, 7 fights, 7 victories, with 3 of them coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Liverpool, England. Here is the undefeated Joe McGrail.
Okay, gentlemen. Okay, athletes, we've already gone over the rules in the dressing room. I expect for you to obey my commands at all times. Most importantly, protect yourselves at all times. If I say stop, you stop whatever you're doing and you listen for my commands. Punches in this area will be legal. Punches in this area will be legal. Touch gloves. Chuck and want this.
So we're all set for our opening contest here on Before the Bell. Corey Erdman and the Latin Snake Sergio Mora calling you all the action for you. Earlier on here tonight, we're excited to get a look at Joe McGrail making his U.S. debut here in our opener. 6 rounds in the 126-pound division. Taking on Edgar Ortiz Jr. We last saw McGrail scoring a first-round TKO over Jake Pollard in March of this past year. And Joe had some hand issues, suffered a cut in that fight as well. Had to back on the mend, but back in action now to close out the year.
Yeah, McGrail, unlike his brother,
has more of a professional style. You see his technique is a little bit better. He's more stationary on his feet. He plants on the power, digs down to the body really nicely. He fights with a good rhythm for you. It's a good-looking fighter. He passes the eye test.
Well, and I think Ortiz might have felt that power already. That left hook about 20 seconds ago looked like it might have wobbled Ortiz. And certainly that left hook to the body wouldn't have felt nice either.
Wide shoulders, he keeps his hands up. You know, it's a shotgun jab that he has, and he uses a measuring stick as well. So right there, he's popping him off just to keep him in check. But you'll see him paw it at times as well. And of course, he comes around the guard with a hook. Very educated left hand.
Nice uppercut there from McGrail. We've seen a couple of those early here. And this is an interesting step for McGrail. This is really his first step outside of the UK and European journeyman circuit. He's been facing a lot of winless opponents, guys with explicitly upside-down records. And look at that body shot. And that one turned Ortiz upside down. He is writhing in pain on the canvas right now.
I doubt he gets up. He got caught too early to the body, and those are going to linger. That pain's going to linger.
There is a lot of time for McGrail to work with here. He said he wanted, and not just wanted, but promised a knockout in his U.S. debut, and he has a golden opportunity to cash in here in the opening round.
Well, if he's going to cash in the ticket, it's going to be back downstairs to the body. It's not going to take much for Ortiz to drop again.
Ortiz got rocked back with a right hand there as McGrail looking for another one of those left hooks to the body. He finds a route right there, and Ortiz felt that one.
Watch the elbows, Joe. Watch the elbows, Joe.
Ortiz's game, though. Ortiz's game. He's throwing back left hooks. You got to give him credit. Right now, it'll serve McGrail right just to go back to the shotgun jab, go back to the power jab. Those body shots are being blocked. They still hurt, but they're being blocked. So open him up with some nice uppercuts and jabs.
Half a minute left to go here for McGrail to work with if he wants this first round knockout.
See, that's one thing that Gennady Golovkin was really good at. When he had opponents hurt.
Oh, down goes Ortiz on another left hook to the body. And you could hear the audible gasp from Ortiz. He gets back up, and he might just make it out of this round. What a display of toughness from Ortiz Jr. Certainly feeling those body shots, Sergio, but he'll make it out of the round.
He's game, he has courage, he's here to fight. Gotta give him credit.
Is he going forward? I need you to work.
Good body shot right there. Ortiz attempted, but you got to admire McGrail's counter shots, and of course that body shot, man. I mean, any fighter you got under 10 fights, 7-0 McGrail, and he's already throwing body shots like that. Vicious shots to the liver, not smothering himself. And this is what I was talking about. That one straight a little low right there, so it was right for Ortiz to complain. But other than that, man, I love what I'm seeing with McGrail, not smothering his power.
Keep your hands up and go forward. Push your hands back and start fucking swinging. Check yourself up, baby.
Back in the corner.
Round 2 underway. We'll see if the minute of reprieve has allowed Edgar Ortiz Jr. to recover after 2 vicious body shots sent him to the canvas in the opening round. Saw Paul Stevenson in the corner of Joe McGrail. He's been the trainer of both Joe and Peter, basically for their entire boxing careers. And Sergio, the McGrail brothers told us yesterday at fighter meetings that only recently did they resume sparring one another. They got back to technical sparring after years of laying off.
I'm sure their mother doesn't like that. Me and my brother, I have 3 brothers, and we kick each other's butts. But when it comes to boxing, man, it's a different level, man. You have to have some kind of spite for the guy that's in front of you, and there's no brotherly love in that, man.
I need to go forward, Torito, let's go. Right there. Right there to work. More than
You can hear the corner of Edgar Ortiz asking him to come forward. He does, and he walks into a 4-punch combination.
Even on the back foot, McGrail's an excellent counter power puncher. I mean, he caught that, come back with a hook, and a vicious 4 or 5 punch combination.
Another left hook to the body, right along the belt line. That will be ruled legal. And the count up to 5 from referee Mark Kalloy.
Ortiz down 3 times, bounced back up 3 times. Look at that little bounce back of McGrill to not smother himself. See that little bounce back right there to make the space for the power. That's educated feet, man. Educated hands and intelligent footwork.
Steps right back in with that shotgun jab that you've been asking for, as well as a straight right hand.
I would like to see lead right hands by McGrill. You know, he throws a great, you know, piercing jab, but you know, if he can start alternating his attack through the front door, you know, he's going to actually have more success with the body shots and coming around the guard. He can even turn that to a 2-1-2, you know, instead of just a 1-1-2.
McGrill trying to loop that right hand a little bit.
Yeah, you know, those looping right hands will land as long as you fool your opponent. You bait them in with other shots. You know, you throw away some punches, like my trainer used to say. Throw away 2 to land the big 3.
I think oftentimes, Sergio, we do see against fighters like Ortiz who have such a high and tight guard. Oh boy, that'll.
But he's a game, solid opponent with a winning record. You know, so he's only been stopped 1 time, and now McGrill is the second fighter to stop him.
All right, right, make this one official.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Mark Kalloy calls a halt to this contest. The official time of the stoppage, 2 minutes and 40 seconds of round number 2. Declaring your winner by TKO, he's still undefeated, Joe McGrail.
So the 21-year-old Joe McGrail improves to 8-0 and has a sparkling U.S. debut here in Phoenix, setting the table for his brother a little bit later on our main broadcast. And of course, we are setting the table for next week in Riyadh is the Day of Reckoning, an absolutely stacked card. Sergio, you're going to be there, and this is one that is just chock full of big names and chock full of intrigue.
Yeah, man, all eyes are going to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And, you know, you got the big boys fighting, where every fight can end with 1 punch. Everyone loves heavyweight boxing, and we got some of the best that night.
Potentially plenty of knockouts in Saudi Arabia next weekend. But how about the man who just scored a knockout? He's standing by with our Sofia Gutierrez.
All right, Joe, not a bad way to start your U.S. debut. Tell me, what type of statement do you think you made tonight?
A good one, second round stoppage. I feel like I looked good as well while I was in there, so couldn't really have asked for a better debut.
During the presser, you kept saying these are the types you want and that you're pushing for. Tell me, what does a win do for your career?
Just keeps pushing me in the right direction, you know. I'll be looking to get back out again next month and just stay busy and keep winning and keep pushing on, and we'll be ready for titles soon enough.
A great fight. Your brother's also going to be kicking off the broadcast. Are you going to change and get ready to watch your brother perform?
Yeah, go and get a little shower, scran, freshen up, and then right back to support my brother, yeah.
Great performance, great win. Excited to see your journey.
Sean, thanks.
Joe McGrail victorious over Edgar Ortiz Jr. Quick work, getting the TKO through 4 knockdowns. And the stoppage coming in the second round as Joe McGrail improves to 8-0. And we saw a lot of pop, a lot of shots to the body, and a lot of spitefulness from Joe McGrail in the best way possible, showing the patience as well, as Ortiz got up twice in the first round and was able to just make it out of that opening round. McGrail did a good job showing patience for a 21-year-old and the pedigree, and made him an ABA national champ in the UK. Those body shots were punishing from Joe McGrail. And a victory here for the 21-year-old. He passes the eye test for sure here stateside, and a big opportunity for Joe McGrail to kick us off on Before the Bell, as he gets his hand raised and stops his second straight opponent here in Glendale, Arizona. Eddie Hearn, Justin Shackle with you as we roll along here on Before the Bell. Real quick, let's get some the bad news out of the way, Eddie. Fight day 5K, you fell just short, but I heard you were compromised. Is this correct?
Well, you know, the problem is I gave it the big one all last week, you know, about the big race and how I'm just I'll never quit, I'll never give up, and then 1K in the hamstring went, and I had to abandon ship. I'm actually disgusted with myself, but I've forgotten about it. Thanks for mentioning it, and I was pleased to see young Joe McGrail there with a real fantastic statement.
Excellent performance. You've been talking all week, not just obviously Sonny Edwards coming here to make his U.S. debut. You have a lot of young fighters taking a step up in competition, coming here to the U.S., and for a 21-year-old to perform this way, what does it say about him in the immediate future?
I keep saying it's so important to go out there and grab the attention of fans watching on the live stream, but watching in the arena as well. They will all remember Joe McGrail's name tonight, right? And I know there's a lot of levels to get to, but when you're at this level and you are levels better than your opponent, you've got to go out there and you've got to absolutely take them apart. And that's what he did. Sat down on his punches, the shot selection, the body punching was absolutely brutal, superb, and I was really impressed. That's the first time I've seen Joe McGrail live. It's the first Matchroom show he's boxed on with us, and I thought he was outstanding tonight. And his brother is sensational. Slightly different styles. His brother, who is also a great shot picker, is a bit more springy on his feet. He's in and out, he's spinning around you. Joe McGrail is a very, very exciting fighter. I think he's going to do fantastic things in the 126-pound division, particularly domestically, back home, British, Commonwealth, European. I see him going through those levels nicely, but I really loved that performance tonight.
When you get the chance, like Joe McGrail does, you have to nail it. He did. He nailed this opportunity as we take a look at some of the knockdown footage again and the body work.
One in the hip as well.
Dropping Edgar Ortiz 4 times in this one before this one was stopped in the second round. It takes advantage of the opportunity, and Corey and Sergio were talking about it. This is a step up in the sense that there's a lot of unknowns, or I shouldn't say that. There's a disparity between journeymen, gatekeepers in the UK and the US.
Good point. I said to Tom Dallas, our matchmaker, like the difference between the opposition, like that opposition would never have got up in the UK. We would have flown someone in from domestically or from Europe. The first body punch, they would have spat their gum shield out and then just gone, that's me, done for the night. Where's my money? Thank you very much. Ortiz, obviously from Phoenix as well, he got up at 9, crawled up. He got up again and again. He was firing back at all times. So Joe had to be patient, he had to be smart as well, and I just love like I said, the patience, the shot selection. But that's one of the reasons I love seeing these before the bell fights, because they're so well matched in the sense of you're in with tough guys who have wins, who have had it difficult in their career. And fair play to Ortiz, he wasn't going to stop trying to get up, and eventually the ref had to save him.
Well, we have a good one coming up next, another featherweight contest. Albert Chop Chop Gonzalez going up against Alexis Molina here in Glendale. We'll touch on before the bell cards in a few moments, but let's talk about the main card, obviously, the main event. Sonny Edwards, Bam Rodriguez, maybe mind games played yesterday, a very long weigh-in show as Bam was late first.
Well, you got told off, didn't you, Justin?
I did. Hey, come correct.
Good
job from
it was
Sonny.
a weird one, to be honest with you. I mean, you understand fighters being late for the actual weigh-in, but as we know, that was a ceremonial weigh-in. The weigh-in was done in the morning, so quite unusual to see a guy half an hour or 35 minutes late. And that can only really, I mean, you know what time the weigh-in. Everyone knows the weigh-in's at 1 o'clock. He's staying like 10 yards away from the weigh-in spot, so it can only be mind games from Bam Rodriguez. Maybe he says it isn't, but then obviously Sonny played his own, where he went back to the hotel, and the whole thing was a right mess. They were 45 minutes or 50 minutes late on the scales. I think I really don't know how to call this fight, and I don't think anyone does, and that's why it's such a great fight, because we know it's 1 versus 2 in any particular order, but no one can categorically say this is what's going to happen. A lot of people feel like Sonny's going to control this fight, control the rounds, but Bam's really, really good, and Sonny's never been at that level before, but Bam's never faced a fighter like Sonny, so that's why I love these fights, because it's a pure 50-50. No one has a clue really about how this is going to go. And as I was sat ringside watching the Joe McGrail fight, I was just looking in the ring thinking, wow, Bam and Sonny are going to go at it in there in a few hours, and I can't wait to see it unfold.
Finally, because we've been talking about this all week ad nauseum with how this fight could go each and every way. One final thought on the main card before we get to our next bout and before the bell.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, obviously, you've got Peter's brother, you know, who is, I think, they call him the Scouse Lomachenko. For any international viewers watching at home, this means that he does box like Vasily Lomachenko. His movement is incredible, his footwork is great, and he can sit down on his punches and be aggressive like his brother as well. Don't forget as well, Galauyev, who is going to be coming up. You know, he has a really tough fight, a big step up. And then Akhmadliev against Kevin Gonzalez, undefeated Mexican. That's going to be a war, that fight. This really is the night for the small people tonight. You know, the super bantamweights, the flyweights, the super flyweights. In fact, Junaid Boston against Gordy Ross.
It's the heaviest bout of the night.
At 154 pounds. So, you know, you're going to see a lot of action. You're going to see a lot of output tonight. You're going to see a lot of aggression. And looking forward to watching it all unfold.
Eddie Hearn joining us here in studio on Before the Bell. He mentioned the hotel's a stone's throw away. So is the stadium for the Arizona Cardinals, and this place is being swarmed by San Francisco 49er fans ahead of their big game tomorrow. You can catch it as the NFL season rolls along with Game Pass on DAZN.
Football fans, you live for this. Let's go! For every game of the NFL season, live only on DAZN. You live for the runs that rock your world. For the trick plays that blow your mind.
Big play.
For the game-changing passes that take your breath away. For the game-winning touchdowns that made you fall in love. Every snap, every second, every play. Live for every game. Catch every game of the NFL live only on DAZN. Sign up at DAZN.com.
And NFL Game Pass featuring a handful of games on DAZN, including the Broncos visiting the Lions in Detroit coming up tonight. And then you have tomorrow's action as the Patriots host Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Ravens travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. And Red Zone Week 15 action all around the National Football League continuing tomorrow with NFL Game Pass on DAZN. There you see the home stadium of the Arizona Cardinals in the background here in Glendale, Arizona. Justin Shackle back with you on Before the Bell. One match in the books, 3 more to go as we get closer to the main card coming up on DAZN at 8 Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain here in Arizona. Albert Chop Chop can
Scheduled in the featherweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, he wears white with orange. He scaled 126 and 1/4 pounds. His professional record, 9 victories, 2 defeats, 1 draw, with 5 wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando de Lomas del Paraíso, Guadalajara, Jalisco, México, Alexis Picudo Molina. And his opponent across the ring fighting out of the blue corner. He wears black with gold trim. He's scaled already 127 and 1/4 pounds. His professional record thus far perfect. 6 fights, 6 victories, with 2 of them coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Moreno Valley, California, the undefeated Albert Gonzalez.
Amateur career, didn't fight at all from the age of 11 to 16. Then he and his father took a trip to Las Vegas and was messing around in the gym a little bit, and his father told him, hey, we're going to enter you into an upcoming tournament just to scare people by putting yourself on the bout sheet. And he started losing some weight, started feeling sharp in the gym, entered the tournament after not fighting at all for 5 years, and won the Golden Gloves in Mesquite. So clearly someone, Sergio, with a lot of natural talent that he can tap into.
It sounds eerily familiar. That's exactly how my career started. You know, I was off and on, trips to Vegas, and little by little, entered the Golden Gloves, won that, and realized I had a future in this. You see Gonzalez trying to set up the overhand right, which he landed on Molina, the taller Molina. Those are the punches you want to set up, you know, with jabs to the body and then upstairs, and he's doing just that.
Molina struggling a little bit with the hand speed of Albert Gonzalez here in the early going. Nice counter uppercut there with the left hand.
Yeah, no, and not only that, but the smart punch selection by Gonzalez. He's coming from under. You know, taller fighters are accustomed for the looping shots, but under with uppercuts, that's surprising. And if you notice, Gonzalez is not really throwing that many shots. You know, he's pot shotting. He's not throwing many jabs, I'm saying. Even though he throws 2 right there. You know, he can't really go jab for jab for Molina since he has almost a 5-inch reach advantage. So he has to pick his spots of when to throw the jab. But he only wants to throw it when he's in position.
Gonzalez, at least at this point, picking off those jabs. Staying responsible with that high guard. Now back on his left hand and a nice right hand right at the bell.
Look at it. That's how you pick your shots, you know. Long jab from Molina, dip, come up with an uppercut. Nice shots right there. Most of them didn't land, but you got to give credit to Molina. That's pretty good, wiry upper body movement for a tall fighter. But little by little, you start chopping him down, like Gonzalez's nickname indicates, and that's exactly his fighting style. He adapts and then attacks. No urgency in the corner of Gonzalez. You know, they know they're going to break their fighter down little by little. It'll come to them.
Round 2 underway. Excellent opening round for Chop Chop Gonzalez. He's coming off a 6-round decision win over Juan Hernandez in early October. Staying very active. And in order to stay active, Sergio, most of the cards that Gonzalez has been fighting on in the San Bernardino area and in the surrounding region, you're familiar with this concept. It's basically been shows where whoever sells the most tickets gets the main event slot, and the popularity of Gonzalez has been growing, and he's been getting those main event slots.
Yeah, I mean, those are ballroom shows that they're going to give you. They're going to give you that main slot if you prove to be a ticket seller. You know, that's how you come up. A lot of fighters have that same route. But if you carry that momentum and keep that undefeated streak, you have a nice fan base to the big stage.
Good body work here from Gonzalez a moment ago. Molina trying to mix it up a little bit more, but gets touched with an uppercut on the inside, and that's something we saw out of him in that Angel Garcia fight on the Kiyoguchi Bermudez undercard. He got hit with a lot of uppercuts, and Sergio, after the 4th round, Molina was just gassed. I mean, that was a stoppage that was just based on exhaustion, it seemed.
Yeah, it's because when you're dealing with tall fighters and they're missing shots like that with people with a good upper body movement, that takes the legs of a taller fighter. And if you see what Gonzalez is doing, you know, he's trying to get the upper body movement to land those overhand shots right there. But Molina is game. He likes to fight on the inside for being such a tall fighter with a tall reach. He's a tough guy as well. Right now he's getting hit by the tougher guy and the tougher puncher.
Landed a couple nice left hooks, but the majority of the work coming from Chop Chop Gonzalez, who is just overwhelming Molina with hand speed and, again, the accuracy and punch placement that you've been pointing out.
Yeah, but this is a good matchup. Good step from Gonzalez. Molina's no joke. He came to win. I mean, he's taking shots like that. You don't want to take too many of those. Good body shots there by Gonzalez. But yeah, it's a good testing to see what you got with your young prospect.
This looks like the type of sparring that you see in the Robert Garcia gym. This is something that Gonzalez does every day, and that's the kind of shot that they teach in that gym, and Molina is writhing in pain on the canvas.
He is not writhing in pain. That was a Mexican liver shot. He's down for the count. He ain't getting up.
Chop, chop with the final gash to the body. What a performance from Albert Gonzalez.
And that's how you keep on the winning streak, keep being a fan-friendly fighter, and keep knocking them out. Who's next?
A big step up for Albert Gonzalez, and that is a big performance for the 21-year-old from Paris, California. That is a flash of power from Chop Chop that we hadn't seen a lot of, at least to this point. Just 2 knockouts coming into this fight, but you can see the hand speed, the punch placement. Even if he isn't gifted with concussive power, Sergio, when you have that kind of speed and accuracy, you can make knockouts happen.
You actually become a better fighter. You evolve into a better fighter when you don't have that power. So it's a good thing that he doesn't have that one punch power, you know. So he's developing and evolving into a complete fighter. And that's the reason Robert Garcia in his corner right here, they didn't have any urgency. They knew that the momentum was going their way. And little by little, he was breaking down Molina, who came to fight, came to win, and it was an excellent performance.
Hear some of the chants, and you can hear Alexis Molina right now. I don't know if that's frustration or...
No, it's frustration.
Or latent pain, but
no,
let's take a look at it.
You got to give Molina credit. He came to win, but when you get hit with shots like that, that hurts me watching. I mean, went around the right elbow. I mean, if you see the elbow, his hand is down, but credit to Chop Chop and went around the right elbow, around the forearm. Just beautiful punch placement. And that right there comes with practice, like you said. Those are punches that are practiced in the gym. You know, it's just a beautiful thing to watch, the accuracy.
All right, we're ready to make this one official. Let's send it back up to our MC, Mr. David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Joey Chavez calls a halt to this contest. The official time of the stoppage, 2 minutes, 24 seconds of round number 2. Declaring your winner by knockout, he's still undefeated, Albert Chop Chop Gonzalez.
So Chop Chop Gonzalez improves to 7-0, a statement victory here on the biggest event that he's fought on thus far in his young career, a vicious body shot knockout. And Sergio, this is a fighter that Robert Garcia really gushes over, both as a human being and as a fighter. He's talked about just how impressive it is, the burden that Gonzalez carries of the legacy, the grief of the passing of his brother. He says that just doesn't impact him at all. In fact, it motivates him, but also the work ethic he's talked about with Albert Gonzalez. He's described him as just being non-stop every single day in the gym, and you saw it materialize in this fight. Just the volume and speed were too much for Alexis Molina.
No, but like you touched on earlier, you know, when it comes to trainers and great trainers, they have talented fighters in front of them to mold, but it comes to temperament, it comes to the mentality of a fighter, how they're going to handle loss, how they're going to handle life. So yeah, in and out of the ring, it's a fight, and Robert Garcia's molding them in the right direction.
Speaking of folks who have spent some time in the Robert Garcia gym, it's the return of Virgil Ortiz on Saturday, January 6th, as he takes on Freddie Lawson. We'll get a look at Virgil Ortiz at 154 pounds. Right now, we are ready to hear from Albert Gonzalez, who's standing by with Sofia Gutierrez.
All right, Albert, congrats on your win tonight. Second round knockout. We saw your opponent keeping his distance, but you kept coming forward. Were you looking for that knockout, or were you waiting for it to kind of just happen?
No, I wasn't looking for the knockout. I was just trying to find my fight, sticking to the game plan. I knew he was bigger than me, so I had to make my way in. I kept slipping my way through. I was seeing if he was catching that, or if he was going to try to. He wasn't, so then after the second round, I started taking advantage and started working more.
And you've been training with Robert Garcia. You've been training with Bam as well. How has that helped you prepare for this fight tonight?
Oh man, it's a big motivation, you know. Out there in the Robert Garcia camp, everybody trains hard. You got world champions such as Bam there, so it makes you feel like you're in the right place. You see everybody training hard. It only pushes you to train harder, be the best version of yourself. And I think that's what Robert Garcia Boxing Academy brought out of me tonight in this fight.
And Alberto, you've talked about fighting for your brother, fighting for your brother's legacy. Tell me, was he here watching tonight?
No doubt about it, he was. I always have him in my head, in my heart. Every single time I fight, every single time before I fight, I hear him talking to me in my head. Every time I want to put my own self down, I hear him in my own head. And he's always with me in the ring, in and out the ring, just throughout my life, you know. I always keep him here with me, and he always reminds me that he's with me.
Great win tonight. I'm sure he's proud of you and looking down at you. Congrats.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
The world is watching.
Aí.
Moments of magic.
Antileo, she tries it. Oh my word! Live on DAZN. That way!
The biggest clubs in Europe. Nail biting. Jaw dropping. Football.
Barcelona have done it!
UEFA Women's Champions League.
Are you watching?
Stream all matches only on DAZN.
Justin Shackle back here on Before the Bell. Chop chop went bang bang. 21-year-old Albert Gonzalez victorious, taking out Alexis Molina here in Glendale as we take a look at some of the action from this fight. And overall, just felt like Gonzalez was a punch or two ahead of Molina from the outset. That is not to say that Molina did not come to win, because he certainly did. Stood right in front of Gonzalez, but the speed, overbearing from Albert Gonzalez at most times early on. Tone early as the 21-year-old improves to 7-0. And he was throwing effective combinations. Molina just a bit slow with his counters as well. And then terrific body work from Gonzalez right there. Getting the left hand behind the right elbow for, as Sergio Morris said, the Mexican liver shot, dropping Molina. And Molina could not get back up as Albert Gonzalez picks up the 3rd stoppage win of his young career. As he improves to 7-0 with 3 knockouts. He improves to 4-0 in a very productive 2023. As you take a look at the scene here in Glendale, Arizona at Desert Diamond Arena, we are halfway through our Before the Bell card. Gonzalez and McGrail each picking up stoppage victories in their featherweight contests, both scheduled for 6 rounds. Well, they didn't need all 6. They did not go the distance. Quick work for Gonzalez and McGrail tonight, as both get their hands raised here in Arizona. Still to come, Junaid Boston will make his U.S. debut in a super welterweight battle. 8 rounds against the undefeated Gordy Russ II. Boston 7-0, 6 knockouts. Gordy Russ 6-0 with 6 KOs. A lot of drama during fight week between these two, and they're finally going to get it on in the ring, scheduled for 8 rounds at 154 pounds. And then the 4th and final bout, Arturo Cardenas and Carlos Mujica. Cardenas 11-0-1, another Robert Garcia trained fighter going at it with Mujica, who we saw on the DAZN card back in July in Detroit. Gave Jericho O'Quinn a run for his money in a very close decision loss. And speaking of O'Quinn, he will kick off the main card against Peter McGrail, which is set to begin at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain. McGrail and O'Quinn going at it for the WBA Continental Super Bantamweight title. Galliafai back in action here in the U.S., it's where he started his U.S. appearances last year in New York. Now he makes his way to Arizona. He'll be taking on Rocco Santamaro, the 36-year-old out of Southern California, challenging Yafai for Galal's WBC International Flyweight title. WBA Super Bantamweight title eliminator in our co-feature, Murajan Akhmadaliev, back in action, trying to redeem himself after losing his titles to Marlon Tapales back in April. Akhmadaliev will take on the undefeated Kevin Gonzalez for the title eliminator in the co-feature. And then it is the main event, the WBO IBF Flyweight Championships on the line. Jesse Bam Rodriguez and Sonny Edwards going toe-to-toe here on DAZN. And this is a big fight night. Obviously, you have the Day of Reckoning coming up and just a loaded schedule on DAZN. It is unrivaled in the boxing sense. We've shown you what's coming up in terms of the NFL, women's football, but the boxing is reigning supreme over these last few weeks, counting down 2023. Last week, the pay-per-view event between Devin Haney and Regis Prograis in San Francisco. This week, a short stone's throw here in the States from San Francisco to the Phoenix area for Bam and Sonny. And many people have felt that this fight here at 112 pounds was the one to highlight for the boxing purists. We said that about a year ago when Chocolatito and Juan Francisco Estrada tangled in their 3rd bout in this arena, as the 115-pounders were highlighted and took center stage here in Glendale, Arizona. Fast forward about 53, 54 weeks, and it is Bam and Sonny going at it. There are a few elements to keep in mind here because so much back and forth has gone between the two sides, right? U.S. fans, UK fans, they're debating back and forth. Who is number 1? Who is number 2? Who is better than the other? We're going to get the answers tonight, but the competition so close, the skills so close, yet so different, it makes it tough to predict this fight between Bam and Sonny. We're going to run through some of those elements as you take a look at what has gone down between Bam and Sonny in the lead up to tonight's main card, the main event, and then taking a look at the X's and O's inside the ring. We're going to break them down as we get further along here on Before the Bell, but some things to keep in mind. The Edwards camp voicing, maybe not concern, but making mention of the judges' scorecards at the end of the night. And it doesn't have to do anything with potential corruption. It's all about what appeals to a state like Arizona's commission, because historically speaking, it does not exactly cater to the way Sonny Edwards has fought and his elusive defensive wizardry. Historically speaking, the Arizona Commission really favors the effective aggression that we see from fighters, the punching volume, not so much of that ring generalship and the defensive IQ that we have seen from Sonny Edwards, the evasiveness that we see from Sonny Edwards. So one has to wonder, what else might Sonny Edwards have to do to come away victorious if this fight goes the distance? And we know Sonny Edwards has been programmed to go the distance, especially in 12-rounders. This is his 5th title defense. He has been in 7 straight matches that have gone the distance over 12 rounds, so he's no stranger to sprinting through the finish line. And then you have the question of Bam Rodriguez. What is the exact condition of the jaw of Bam Rodriguez? Bam won the WBO flyweight title in a decision win over Christian Gonzalez in his hometown of San Antonio back in April. But from round 6 onward, Bam Rodriguez was dealing with 2 fractures in his jaw, and he pulled away in the second half of that fight over Gonzalez, not only in punches thrown, but punches landed as well. So broken jaw and all, Bam Rodriguez was victorious. He had to have a surgical procedure on that jaw about 48 hours after the fight. He's been recovering from that broken jaw, and he actually said that the jaw still feels a little bit numb. This is very recent, so you do have to wonder, what condition is that jaw of Bam Rodriguez actually in? Only he really knows. It was fractured in 2 spots. The Rodriguez camp was talking about how everything is fine. They got in their appropriate and right amount of sparring throughout the training camp. But you'll wonder, in the opening quarter of this fight tonight, is that an area that Sonny Edwards tests right away? With that big right hand of Sonny, is the jaw a focal point for Sonny Edwards? So that is something that you need to watch out for, especially in the opening rounds of our main event tonight, happening here on DAZN.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. The fight starts now!
You love the speed, you love the power. Landed by Pacquiao. Look at that! What an incredible back.
Boyd knows every trick of the
That's
trade.
a great veteran skills by Bernard Hopkins.
She's impressing me here.
They respect each other's power, speed, and timing.
Terrific work from Amir Khan.
One big night, you can turn your life around him. Alvarez, certainly the future of boxing. What a fight! How do you like it? How do you like it? The fight is over! She's still, pound for pound, the best in the world.
Well, there is a stunning outcome.
An upset, a huge upset.
Goes for goal from distance. Oh, what a strike that is.
It's going to be a game changer for the women's game.
The biggest stage in women's club football begins here and begins now. Looks like they mean business here. Beautiful move, a party piece. The stars shining for Al Nassr. Fabulous finish. And Karim Benzema is up and running in the Saudi Pro League.
Struck beautifully by Mitrovic.
The world is watching.
Aí.
Moments of magic.
Leon, she tries it. Oh my words! Live on DAZN. That way!
The biggest clubs in Europe. Nail biting. Jaw dropping. Football.
Barcelona have done it.
UEFA Women's Champions League.
Are you watching?
Stream all matches only on DAZN.
This kid they think is going to be sensational.
The real deal.
A natural-born puncher.
A young star.
But legitimate contender.
Ortiz knockout express. Too big, too strong, too good. Picks up another victim. His 19th knockout and his 19th win.
Live on DAZN pay-per-view, December 23rd. Day of reckoning. The sun is rising as the biggest names in boxing, Joshua versus Wilder, and Wilder versus Parker, headline a history-making boxing card.
Down he goes.
Witness the furnace of fight night. Reckoning is in the ring. Live on DAZN pay-per-view, December 23rd. Buy now at DAZN.com.
And we're back here on Before the Bell in Glendale, along with Chris Mannix. I'm Justin Shackle. Halfway through our Before the Bell bouts, 2 stoppages starting us off over at featherweight. Still to come, you have Junaid Boston and Gordy Rust II, along with Arturo Cardenas going up against Carlos Mujica. Chris is going to be on the call for the main card, beginning at 8 Eastern, 6 p.m. locally. Obviously, we have the main event, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, Sonny Edwards, a big one that we've all been trying to dissect, probably to the point where we're like, hey, let's just get on with it, because it is 1 versus 2. You want to see all the questions answered, but I do wonder, Chris, does each fighter here, do they perhaps have to reach into their bag of tricks a little bit deeper than usual to come out on top, but also present something that we may not necessarily associate with them in their greatness?
Well, I think they're both going to have to dig into that bag of tricks, because both these guys have multiple game plans that they can go to. When I talk to boxing people about this fight, you can see it going 3-4 different ways. Sonny Edwards could win an 11-1 type decision. Bam Rodriguez could knock Sonny Edwards out in the 3rd round of this fight. It just has a lot of different variables to all this. I think the biggest key for this fight, though, is going to be the jab of Bam Rodriguez. Bam Rodriguez has a significant reach advantage. You can see that when they stand next to each other. Sonny Edwards miraculously only has about a 60-inch reach. You look at Bam, he's like an octopus out there with his length. So you can expect Bam Rodriguez to be sticking that jab out there early and often, particularly when it comes to the body. I was just talking to Robert Garcia a few moments ago, and he was saying, look, yeah, the body is going to be a big part of our offensive attack, because we need to slow the movement of Sonny Edwards down. And the best way to slow the movement of a fighter, dig to the body, make them a little bit more of a stationary target.
Let's zero in on that, because I think that goes along with the question that I asked you before. Talking about the jab, the CompuBox numbers show Bam Rodriguez punches well above the flyweight average with the jab. With the body work, not so much. So in terms of doing something that maybe not necessarily you do well, a lot of things Bam Rodriguez does is well above average. The body work, though, maybe falls a little bit below or underneath the rest of his work, something that he probably needs to pick up on against Sonny.
Yeah, I think it'll be a new trick that Bam is going to have to break out. Most of his opponents up until this point, while I wouldn't have called them stationary targets, they're a little bit more brawler than they are boxer. I'm talking about guys like Carlos Cuadras. I'm talking about guys like Sri Sakatso Rungbasai. His last opponent, Christian Gonzalez, did do a lot of moving, but didn't do a lot of punching in that fight. So if you're Bam Rodriguez, yeah, you're going to have to dig into maybe a new part of your offensive arsenal. The good thing for Bam is that he has been preparing for that all throughout his training camp. He has brought in a lot of guys between the 118 and 122-pound division. They have been giving him round after round of movement, showing him the kind of movement that Bam's going to expect to see from Sonny Edwards when the first bell rings. So I think he's coming in this prepared with a solid game plan for how to get the job done.
I thought it was really interesting. Both fighters, they talk about maybe past opponents that could have prepared them properly for their respective opponents tonight. For Bam, you talked about Christian Gonzalez in his last fight in terms of a fighter moving and switch hitting as well on the fly. For Sonny, it was Felix Alvarado in terms of maybe the punch volume and the way that Bam fights on the front foot. Look, no disrespect to Felix Alvarado or Christian Gonzalez, they are not Bam Rodriguez or Sonny Edwards. So when you take a look at them going toe-to-toe, you mentioned the jab, the reach advantage that Bam has. One thing that he does not have going for him is questions surrounding his jaw. Do you think that's an area that Sonny may try to exploit early on?
Look, I asked Sonny about that during our fighter meetings this week, and he said, look, he knows exactly where that spot on the jaw is. He believes that there's still some swelling around that jaw. I have not versed enough in medical science to understand if that's jaw swelling from the previous fracture or just how Bam Rodriguez's face ultimately looks like. But Sonny Edwards is aware of it. His problem is he's not looking to stand and trade with Bam Rodriguez. He wants to move. He wants to throw 3, 4, 5 punch combinations and then get out. He wants to be the active guy in the ring. So this probably isn't the fight where Bam has to worry too much about that jaw. And I can tell you from talking to Bam, from talking to Robert Garcia, they are not worried in the least about that jaw. He has had good sparring for about 6 weeks now. Bam said the first time he got hit on that jaw, he was a little bit nervous about how it would feel, but after that, everything was business as usual. So going into this fight, there are no concerns in Bam's camp about how that jaw is going to hold up.
And then Sonny Edwards coming along here with Bam Rodriguez. If both fighters do what they do well tonight, and it is action-packed, it's everything that we expect and very close, does the defensive wizardry of Sonny Edwards take him over the finish line in the eyes of the judges that we have here in Arizona?
That's the multi-million-dollar question at this point, because Bam is more defensive-minded, and in the U.S., judges tend to reward offensive-minded fighters, especially if a round is close, and you can see a lot of these rounds being close. Now, I've analyzed the judging panel going to this fight. It's pretty good. You've got one judge from the U.S., a local judge, Chris Wilson, another one from the U.K., Steve Gray, who's most well-known in the U.K. as being a referee, but he does have about 475 boxing judging fights on his resume. Then there's a third judge, who's a Polish-British judge that they're going to use for this fight. These judges are solid on paper, but they are probably going to have a difficult job over multiple rounds tonight, because I think there are going to be rounds where when that final bell rings, you're looking around going, I don't know which way to lean that. And oftentimes in the U.S., the fighter that is more aggressive gets the benefit of the doubt.
All right, Chris Mannix is going to go get ready for the main broadcast again, coming up at 8 Eastern, 6 local here on DAZN. We talked about tonight's showdown, the Day of Reckoning next week, an unrivaled ending here in 2023 on DAZN. And then, after the new year, the action picks right back up on January 6th.
This kid they think is going to be sensational.
The real deal.
The natural-born puncher.
A young star.
But legitimate contender.
Ortiz knockout express. Too big, too strong, too good. Picks up another victim. His 19th knockout and his 19th win.
Back here in Glendale as we get set for the third of our 4 fights here on Before the Bell. Sergio Mora, the Latin Snake, joining me, Justin Shackle. Sergio is doing the commentary with Corey Erdman, and you saw Joe McGrail get a stoppage. We saw Albert Gonzalez get a stoppage. I thought Albert Gonzalez, out of Robert Garcia's boxing academy, maybe a punch or two ahead of a game Alexis Molina.
I really like what I saw with Gonzalez. I mean, he has a muscular frame, but he knows how to get on the inside. He uses his upper body. He doesn't waste punches. His punch selection is excellent, and he was able to break down a tough fighter who came to win. You could see it that he wanted to win this fight impressively, and he did. And you'd like to see that with young up-and-coming prospects.
We have Junaid Boston and Gordy Russ coming up, so another young British fighter making his U.S. debut. This was the one where things got chippy during the fight week. Action spilled out on the floor, off the stage during the press conference. This is some footage from the weigh-in yesterday. You have Russ coming out of Detroit, trained by his cousin, Sugar Hill Stewart. And Russ looking to stay undefeated, 6 wins, 6 knockouts. And not too many words exchanged at the weigh-in as there were during the press conference. But here you have Junaid Boston, and again, we talked about it with Eddie Hearn. I know you guys have been talking about it during the fight with Joe McGrail making his U.S. debut. This is a big night for some of these young British fighters. This is a dream that they're sort of achieving. They stayed up late throughout the night watching the big fights in Vegas, and now they're here in the States.
Yeah, they're in the States, and they want to make a splash, a good splash. And these are 2 undefeated fighters that we're looking at here. 2 big boys at over 6 foot plus, but I like what I see. You know, the fact that they're matching them up against other undefeated prospects, other fighters that are here to win. You want to see that. Eddie Hearn is actually doing a good job as a promoter to really test these British talented fighters. And maybe talented and prospects across the pond, but we're going to see what they can do in the States here, where you get some rugged fighters, the rugged fighters that actually are a little bit different stylistically. So I love the matchmaking, and I love what I'm seeing so far.
Quick thought on the main event before we let you go, because the fighters are almost ready to walk here. Bam Rodriguez, Sonny Edwards, main element, main variable that you're really focused on tonight when these two get in the ring.
Well, the main variable for Bam Rodriguez is how is he going to pin down a tricky fighter like Sonny Edwards, how is he going to stop him from moving his upper body, how is he going to hopefully concentrates on the body, and we're going to find out how Sonny Edwards is able to land that right hand, and if Bam Rodriguez's chin holds up. So these are a lot of variables that we need to see in the ring, how they're going to handle them. So Sonny Edwards is going to frustrate Bam Rodriguez, and how's Bam going to handle that? So yeah, a lot of things that we need to see tonight.
One other thing that Bam was cognizant of in the fighter meetings earlier this week was he's going to have to go to the body. He's going to have to put in body work, and it's not something that he does to the level of his other punching attributes. So when you're trying to do that for the first time, what could that mean against a fighter like Sonny?
See, the thing about Bam Rodriguez, he has excellent footwork. Everything comes from the foundation, but when you have that great footwork and angles, you want to headhunt, and that's the thing where Bam Rodriguez, the head hunting, he always goes for the shots that are easy to see, but sometimes, like in his last two fights with Israel Gonzalez, you need to concentrate down here, the torso area, even the chest area. That's how you stop the upper body movement. It's kind of like a football player and running back. You don't really go off the footwork, you go off the hip. Wherever the hip goes, that's where you concentrate on. For Bam Rodriguez, he's going to have to be a boxer and semi-football player and track down the running back and the moves of a tricky fighter like Sonny Edwards.
The old adage, right? The head moves, the body doesn't.
There you go.
So we have that. Body work, a focal point between Bam and Sonny. All right, we are ready to go for our third fight here on Before the Bell. Junaid Boston, Gordy Russ II. Let's throw it into the ring with David Diamante.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, from the Desert Diamond Arena, we're set to go with our next bout of the evening. Two young, undefeated super welterweights going head-to-head. Now entering the arena, please welcome the undefeated G-Baby, Gordy Russ II.
Well, Gordy Russ II has grown up underneath the most fruitful learning trees ever planted in the historic boxing city of Detroit, Michigan. The cousin of Sugar Hill Stewart, Russ was rolling around the legendary Kronk Gym with Emmanuel Stewart present since he was a toddler. As he matured, he learned the sport from Sugar Hill before also being taken under the wing of one of Emmanuel's last proteges, Tony Harrison, whom Russ has described as a man who has raised him. Despite his star-studded roots, Russ has struggled for attention on the Michigan club circuit, but used his voice, or rather his Twitter page, to remedy that, calling out his opponent Junaid Boston online a few months back. Tonight, he gets what he asked for, a chance to put a lifetime of learning to the test.
And now entering the arena, the undefeated star boy, Junaid Boston.
Well, Junaid Boston had some ominous last words for his opponent here tonight. Simply, be careful what you ask for. Boston is one of the most highly regarded prospects in the UK today, not only because of his in-ring prowess, but because of his personality as well. Known as Starboy, the 21-year-old said he looks up to fighters like Hector Camacho, Naseem Hamed, and Pernell Whitaker, ring stylists with big personalities. Thus far, Boston has paired the big personality with a big punch, and in his US debut tonight, is promising a knockout victory.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Desert Diamond Arena, live on DAZN, we are set to go with a special super welterweight attraction. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Bet Online, Stagefront, and O'Reilly Auto Parts, the professional parts people. Introducing your three judges scoring this contest from ringside. From the United Kingdom, Steve Gray. From Poland, Gregor Smolenda. And from the United States of America, Dennis O'Connell. At the sound of the bell, your third man in the ring, referee Joey Chavez. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 8 rounds of boxing scheduled in the super welterweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the red and green. He scaled 155 1/4 pounds. His professional record, absolutely perfect. 6 fights, 6 victories, and all 6 of his wins came by way of knockout. He fights out of Detroit, Michigan. Please welcome Gordy G-Baby Russ the Second. Russ the Second. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the blue trunks with the black and the silver trim. He scaled 155 1/4 pounds. His professional record, also a perfect one. 7 fights, 7 victories, with 6 of them coming by way of knockout. Here is the 2-time amateur national champion, fighting out around the room, South Yorkshire, England. Starboy, Junaid Boston. Boston.
You're a lot bigger than
These look good. These look good. You guys are both professionals, so I expect a good, clean fight. As a reminder, watch your heads, keep the punches up, touch gloves now. Back to your corner.
So the star boy, Junaid Boston, and the G-Baby, Gordy Russ II.
Mouthpiece in.
After all the talking during an absolutely wild build-up to this one that peaked with a brawl at the press conference just a couple of days ago, finally, they'll get their hands on one another here in Phoenix. Round 1, scheduled for 8 in the 154-pound division. Big step up here for Gordy Russ, who has yet to face a fighter with a winning record, and 3 of his opponents had not yet scored a victory as a pro. We talked about his struggles with finding decent opposition to this point in his pro career. Now gets an opportunity to show what he's made of against one of the most highly touted prospects in the UK today in Junaid Boston.
Yeah, you always want to break down and look inside the numbers when you're dealing with undefeated fighters. If you see, you know, a flashy record like Russ, 6-0, 6 knockouts, but who have you knocked out? And 7-0, 6 knockout by Boston, but he has slightly better opponents that he's actually faced and knocked out. So this is the reason I actually favor the stylish southpaw and Starboy Boston right now. Very patient, looking for the jabs and the right punches.
No, that's a good point, Sergio. I mean, to this point, Junaid Boston has been matched somewhat aggressively. He's faced guys like Corey McCullough last time out, guys like Ryan Amos, guys who have won or fought for at least area-level titles in the UK. So these are guys who are coming in with a winning mindset, guys with decent records. And Gordy Russ just hasn't had that luxury to this point in terms of matching himself in Michigan. Shot there from Russ, a right hand breaks through.
Russ has a good right hand, and you know, he's an excellent amateur, so he timed that right hand really well. The problem is he has to break the distance of Boston right now. Boston he's really good on his feet. You know, he has a sneaky uppercut once he breaks that distance, so you got to watch out for the punches on the outside, on the inside as well.
See Boston connect on a couple of lead right hands already thus far, showing the hand speed. Sergio, certainly when you see something like that, when you see lead right hands landing early, it's certainly a sign of maybe a hand speed differential, but also just good timing.
Not only the hand speed and the timing, but Russ keeps his left hand really low. So there's an opening there, there's an avenue there, so you can see it clearly. Heavy feet, Russ. You seen right there that he missed the jab. He heard his left foot land really heavily. So I would like to see Boston take advantage of that by doubling and tripling his jabs in. Heavy foot fighters hate being pushed back.
Final 20 seconds here of the opening round.
See that sly little foot feint in Boston. You didn't hear nothing right there. It was just a nice, swift foot feint. Those are the ones that are going to catch, you know, your opponent off guard the later this fight goes.
Lots of talking between Boston and Russ. We said that the time for talking was over. It certainly is not. That has continued in addition to the action.
Feel out round. Both these fighters are 6 foot, 6'1", you know, long reach. So they want to gauge the timing and the distance, the length. You know, so feel all round. But that right hand right there, it got close to landing on Boston right there. And Boston actually felt a little bit of the power of Russ. So the second round should be a little bit more telling here. But I like the confidence from Boston. I like the punch selection from Russ so far.
Round two, take a step back.
Round two underway. Nate Boston and Gordy Russ, 154-pound grudge match here on Before the Bell. See a little bit of marking already on the outside of the left eye of Junaid Boston. And in grading his most recent performance against Corey McCulloch, he gave himself a 5 out of 10, in particular because he did get a little bit marked up, did say he wanted to be a little more defensively mindful in this fight, but nice right hands like that might bail him out. Chopping right hand there from Boston with Gordy Russ trapped along the ropes.
Russ doesn't have a quick upper body movement. You see how he doesn't react to punches. Look, see, his head is stationary right there. It's only going to be a matter of time for Boston lands something really big and drop or even knock out Russ. I don't like the fact that Russ is not reacting to these punches. Getting hit way too cleanly in the second round. I don't care how good of a chin you have, you know, you don't want to be getting hit, you know, that cleanly by a power puncher. Well, by a puncher, statistically, by Boston so early. And you can see how Russ, you know, wants to make this fight a fight. He's aggressive. He's the one pursuing on the front foot. But if you're going to do that, you better be moving your head.
Nice left hand there. Lead left hand from Junaid Boston as he just continuously switches stances and really is deciding when the two of them are going to engage. It is entirely on Boston's terms to this point.
It is, and that's exactly what it is. Ring generalship. You know, he's gonna fight you from the left-handed stance, right-handed stance. It's when you open up an opportunity and what angle he's gonna attack from. See right there, he slyly switches to southpaw, and look, back to orthodox. Very, very sly fighter Boston is.
Yeah, that's pretty clever work on the inside. You see Boston switching stances, going to the body, landing combinations to the body, and now just mushing Russ back with that jab inside the final minute of round two.
You know, when you're this naturally gifted with speed and hard punches and upper body athleticism, you forget about the simple things, the foundation, the jab. You know, Boston, he has a really good jab. If he can start doubling that jab, if even aiming at the chin, that'll open up the straight right hand that he's been looking for on Russ. But right now it looks like Boston's having fun in there. He wants to get the rounds in.
Boston, of course, trains in the same gym alongside Sonny Edwards, and Sonny has openly said that he feels that Boston is the most talented fighter in their gym, and I would suppose that includes Sonny, so that is very high praise coming from the world champion, and a wicked body shot there from Junaid Boston right before the bell.
I'll tell you what, Russ landing a nice left hook before that bell right there, so they're both landing some sneaky power punches in there.
You were just walking like this. You can't just keep walking.
See if we can get the sneaky shot that Russ landed, but right here you see the fact that Boston wants to keep him on the outside behind that jab. You know, once he lets the combinations flow, he looks good. Quick hand speed Boston has. But look, you see Russ saying, "Oh, I'm all right, let's go. Let's make it a fight." An accidental clash of heads before the end of that bell right there, and that's what they see complaining on the corner of Boston.
down. Round 3, wait for the bell. Stay back. Stay back. Box.
Here we go with round 3. Tensions between Boston and Russ certainly still very high, as you saw at the end of round 2.
See, there's that home run. I mean, that's a punch that a lot of fighters throw whenever they're dealing with a taller fighter. That was my MO with taller fighters. A jab downstairs and an overhand right. The problem with that is you gotta lie to your opponent. You can't tell him the truth. You gotta foot feint, and you gotta actually make it a convincing jab downstairs. You can't just throw it away and hoping that right hand lands.
Nice right hand over the top there from Russ. And Boston looked like he felt that for a moment. Now you see the smile, and Boston fires back with a left hook. Best shot of the fight from Gordy Russ, who found another right hand there a moment ago. And we have a fight on our hands here in round 3.
Yeah, Russ is doing the right thing. He's looping the right hand, then keeping it short. There's looping it, and on the inside, he does a chopping right hand. So you don't know if it's coming from over the top or if it's coming real short behind the left shoulder of Boston. Confidence is just oozing out of Gordy Russ II right now.
Russ explicitly said that he is looking for the knockout in this fight. That's something he said throughout his career. That's something that Stewart family in general always preaches, always be looking for the knockout, and it's those kinds of shots that could produce it for Gordy Russ if he can keep it up.
See, the thing about knockout punchers is they're not accustomed to getting hit. You know, they're accustomed to doing the hurting. So once they get clipped in the chin, I want to see what the fighter has. I want to see what the puncher has other than just a big right hand. You know, so right now, Russ has passed that test a little bit more than Boston so far, because both of them have got clipped, but I think Boston has reacted a little bit differently and shaky to that shot.
Boston just missed with that right hand over the top and landed a nice body shot on the follow-through. Look at this exchange on the inside. Hard right hand from Boston.
See, there you go. Big right hand by Boston, but Russ reacted nicely. Calm under pressure, didn't shake, didn't buckle, still coming forward. That's punch resistance. And look at that shot that Russ just landed right there.
Excellent
Boston didn't
right
like
hand.
that.
He did not, and Boston retreats to the perimeter now. Maybe feeling these right hands from Gordy Russ. This one living up to all the tensions, all the trash talk all week long. Excellent uppercut there from Russ, breaks through the middle. Final 10 seconds of round 3 as he blasts Boston with a right hand.
Big right hand, coming from all over the place. The uppercuts, the hooks, right hand. Nowhere for Boston to hide right now, no head movement.
What a round for Gordy Russ, who is fired up.
What are you doing? You're gonna get knocked out! Drink this. Give me water. Right. Why the fuck are you getting in with right hands like that? Hey, move your feet! Whoa.
And then you have Boston getting scolded by his corner, and rightfully so. He's fighting the wrong fight here. He should be boxing behind the jab, using the entire ring, setting up that right hand with patience. Instead, he's making it easy for Gordy Russ to land that right hand right there. The better chin is on Gordy Russ, and that's the reason Boston has not been able to hurt or even get the respect of Gordy Russ just yet.
Round 4 begins. We'll see if Jernaid Boston has a change of plans in terms of his approach here. Sergio, are we maybe seeing a young fighter, a 21-year-old here, getting caught up in all the emotions, all the trash talk, the brawl at the press conference, and sort of losing his cool a little bit?
It could be that, or maybe we're seeing Boston get exposed. You know, sometimes, you know, shiny, glossy records from other countries across the pond or wherever it's at, you know, you got to make your bones everywhere. And right now, we're seeing a tough fighter from Detroit, you know, testing this fighter from across the pond.
This is the fight that Gordy Russ asked for. He sought out Junaid Boston, tweeted at him, asked for the fight. To Junaid Boston's credit, he said he took a screenshot of the tweet and he sent it to the matchmaker, and they made the fight. Credit to young fighters, Sergio, at this stage of their careers, being proactive in searching out and seeking out tough challenges right now. That's a nice right hand from Junaid Boston.
No, you got to credit fighters that take steps like this, but you also got to respect the other man's zero, the other man's undefeated, unblemished record. You can't just think that you're going to walk over someone that's not accustomed to losing.
You heard Junaid Boston's corner between rounds warning him that he was going to get knocked out if he kept fighting that way. You see the pensive look on the face of Junaid Boston, a lot more focused right now. You know, the animation that we saw in those early rounds, that is gone. I think Boston has now realized what he's up against for real.
Pensive and turning into problematic right now, because right now you see Boston on the back foot where he should be jabbing. There you go. Even if it's to the chest stops the upper body from moving. You know, if you can't land cleanly on the chin, tap the chest, tap the torso, tap the belly. Something to prevent Russ from just walking in the front door so easily. You know, Russ is not going to respect that movement if nothing's coming his way. And see how Russ is doing a good job cutting off the ring, so it's only making it smaller and smaller in there. Russ is not following him around. He's cutting off that ring.
I think that's a good observation, Sergio, because I think a lot of people would look at this scenario and they would say, because Russ isn't always landing, that means he's not cutting off the ring. But that isn't always the case. I mean, one fighter could just not be engaging. That doesn't mean that Russ isn't cutting off the ring and doing the right thing.
Not only that, Corey, but Russ is not a fast foot fighter. He lacks speed. He lacks upper body movement. He's a flat-footed fighter, but he is a smart puncher. You know, so if you stay stationary, he will land and zero in on a big right hand.
See the difference? Eh? There, this one out. Where's towel? Okay. Do you when you not hold your feet there and wait for him to punch, or wait and then punch yourself? Did you like that way? Eh? Did you land there? Did you land there? Forward. That's a lot better. I can do that for yeah. Right, go. Take it out.
Stay back. Stay back.
Round 5 underway. There's Gordy Russ of the Motor City in Detroit, Michigan, trains out of Super Bad Fitness. Tony Harrison has put together a couple of very good rounds here, back to back. And he said coming into this fight that we'd be in for a treat, that he's going to show everyone that he belongs at this level, because Sergio, I think that this fight for a lot of people was categorized kind of as a showcase for Junaid Boston, but they're forgetting, you know, Gordy Russ is a guy that medaled at USA Youth Nationals, is a guy who was a good amateur himself, as he gets tossed to the canvas there by Junaid Boston.
That's frustration by the young Boston right there.
But going back to that point, again, this fight might have been categorized one way, but in Gordy Russ's opinion, this is his big break on DAZN. This is his showcase.
Hey man, anytime the B-side, which in this case is Gordy Russ, gets an opportunity to shine on, you know, the bigger stage that he's accustomed to on television, you can bet he's going to want to shine. That's exactly what he's doing right now. G-Baby wanted this opportunity, wanted this test, and he's doing what he needs to do. So far, so good.
And he showed up with the holiday-themed trunks, which I really appreciate. However, they are torn right through the back.
What is that?
Unfortunate fashion faux pas.
That's happened to me before.
It's body work there. Junaid Boston getting back to some body work.
Don't let the fashion malfunction, malfunction what you came to do tonight. And right now, he's not doing that.
Punch your way out. Let him go, Blue. Let him go. Don't shove.
You see right there, Boston going back to southpaw. He's moving laterally nicely, switching, from lefty to righty, but he's not really doing anything from those stances. He's controlling the pace of this round so far, so that's good for him, but he needs to get some respect, just like Angles right there. From the orthodox stance, landed at 1-2.
Nice right hand. There's a good counter from Gordy Russ. Nice uppercut on the inside in reply.
Because Boston's keeping his head in the same place. So even if he's landing his right hand, his head is staying in the right place, making it easier for Russ to land his own. Anytime you punch, you wanna be expecting something back. See right there, they're exchanging punches and Russ is getting the better of it.
Yeah, he certainly got the best of that one.
So instead, you should land your punch and dip, just like he did right there. Get yours, get out. Foot feint, get in. It's a tit for tat in boxing. It's fencing. You don't want to go punch for punch.
Final moments here of round 5. A round that probably looks closer to the kind of round that Junaid Boston is looking for at this stage in the fight, but still some excellent work coming from Gordy Russ.
Russ just, attacking Boston, and Boston's frustrated. He's frustrated with the fact that Russ is just on him, not giving him time, any chance to breathe, not giving him time to, relax and find his groove. That's what you want to do. But see, right hands like that was a good right hand right there, and he did the right thing by moving his head and avoiding the 2-3 punches that followed up by Russ.
That's his plan now. He can walk through, he gonna skate through like that if you let him. If you let him, he ain't gonna win like that. If you let him. You gotta do something though. Other than that, stay defensive line.
Stay back. Stay back.
Every time you throw.
Box.
As round 6 begins, Junaid Boston and Gordy Russ. A highly competitive 154-pound matchup here. Big step up for Junaid Boston. Maybe a little bit bigger of a step up than he had anticipated as Boston lands a nice right hand on the exit.
No, it's evenly matched. And, the winner of this fight is going to deserve it. It's a back and forth right now. Anytime Russ is getting his shots, they're easier to see, that the eye-catching shots. But Boston, he goes through lulls and he comes back with something nice as well. I just think the better chin has been on Russ. He's been handling the punches better.
Russ tested the chin of Boston again a moment ago, looping right hand connected. And prior to the fight, Boston said it was the right hand of Russ that he had to worry about. He said that's what he has.
Russ just missed a big right hand right there, and Boston didn't react at all. Fatigue, I think, is setting in on Boston. See that? You could tell by his body language. He wants to close the gap and just hold down, because I just think it's only a matter of time, man. I don't like the upper body movement by Boston, even though he is punching. There's no balance.
Landed a nice right hand on the inside. But further to that point, he said that all Russ has is the right hand. That's all he had to worry about. And to a degree, Sergio, that has proven to be true. It has been the right hand, almost primarily from Russ, but he's done enough with it. He's varied it enough to make it an unpredictable enough weapon for Boston to deal with.
If all Russ has is the right hand, guess what? He's doing just enough to stay in this fight, or maybe even be winning this fight. It's a close, competitive, action-packed fight, but I'll tell you what, Boston's been landing good uppercuts in this round. This fight's been landing good uppercuts, but by him staying in the same place, he's getting hit with something back, so he can't take control of any of these rounds because of his head movement and lack thereof. See that? Those are shots where he landed something good, but Russ came back with a sweeping left hook and shook him.
Couple chopping right hands connected there from Boston.
See, offensively, Boston looks really good. Defensively is where he's lacking.
His uppercut there from Boston, but back comes Gordy Russ with a 3-punch combination, and that right hand again lands from Gordy Russ over the top, but Boston stays in the pocket, connects on the uppercut. Excellent exchanges here in round 6. Hard body shot there from Boston a moment ago.
Punch your way out, guys. Keep it clean.
Boston putting some punches together here inside the final minute of round 6. Some of the best offensive work, sustained offensive work that we've seen from Boston in the last little while.
Yeah, and coming forward, pushing back Russ, letting him know that he's in this fight. This is a good round to hold his ground for Janae Boston. Yeah, both of them landing their right hands right there. There's that uppercut that Boston's been landing, but look, his chin stays in the same place, making it easier for Russ to land something back. But this was a good round for Boston, landing those uppercuts and the sexy shots for the referees to be able to see. But you can't be getting hit with shots like that.
Wait for the bell, guys. Box.
2 to go here in this 8-rounder between Janae Boston and Gordy Russ, and the mood in the corner of Janae Boston has stabilized quite a bit since the explosion in round 3, where they really laid into him and warned him that he would get knocked out if he kept fighting that way. But Sergio, I think there's an acknowledgement in the corner of Janae Boston that, listen, despite what they might have thought coming into this fight, it's not going to be an easy fight no matter what. This is a tough customer in Gordy Russ, and this is a well-matched contest.
And yeah, no, and credit to the trainer of Boston, Pierce Gudgeon, because he needed that admonishing, because he was going in the wrong direction, and now he took control, or apparently took control of this fight by boxing, being on the back foot, picking his shots, and not exchanging with Gordy Russ. You got to use your advantages, your height, your reach, your athleticism, the faster feet. These are all things that are on the side of Boston, but he was giving those up just to be a tough guy.
The mood stabilizing in the corner of Janae Boston. The feet of Janae Boston have stabilized quite a bit too. Clearly, fatigue setting in on both ends. It has been pretty heavy tempo for these 254-pounders. I think starting to slow down a little bit here in the 7th.
Yeah, it's smart for Boston to use his legs here, because Russ has, like I said, he has heavy feet, so you could tell right now that movement is bothering him. Add the fatigue as well. So it's good for Boston to be actually, using the entire ring and utilizing his advantages and reach. It's a good look, instead of exchanging and making it easier for Russ to land something.
This is one of the tricky things when it comes to evaluating fighters like Boston. We'll see it, I'm sure, with Sonny Edwards a little bit later on, as Boston lands a nice check left hook there. Judges having to decide when this is movement to avoid contact and when it is leading the dance. And sometimes it is hard for judges, as you experienced throughout your career as a mover yourself. It's not always evident to them what is going on.
I love that analogy, leading the dance, Corey. I can't dance, I got 2 left feet, but I'll tell you what, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to let the referees know, I'm moving because I want to move, not because I'm being forced to move. And that's a big thing, having to convince them. And look, for me, this was a good dance and a good round for Boston moving. And he picked his spots, and in the last 2 or 3 rounds, he's actually followed direction and followed the game plan, and things are moving in his favor again. Nice left hand from the southpaw stance, and he turned into a looping left hand. Good shots right there, good chin by Russ. You like seeing the different angles and trajectory of left hands, and you don't want to come in the same way.
What I want to do is be defensive.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 8th and final round.
Last round. Hey guys, this is the last round. Let's keep it clean. Bucks.
8th and final round, and at least a tiny show of respect there between Boston and Gordy Russ after a lot of tumultuous trash talk throughout the week. Nice left hand there from Sinead Boston.
That was a good left hand.
Both men said they were looking for the knockout, promised knockouts. Instead, Sergio, we've got a pretty fascinating tactical affair throughout this fight.
It's aggressively tactical because both of them had their moments. I think early, Russ was showing what he can do, and he actually shook and rocked Boston, and Boston did the right thing by switching up that game plan and starting to box on the back foot, and that's actually created a problem for Russ, who's having issues breaking that distance now because of the lack of foot speed on Russ's part and not jabbing his way in. See, that's what he needs to do, double and triple up those jabs.
Shot there from Boston a moment ago. Just rolled under something, went to the body with a left hook, now back out to the perimeter.
Yeah, Boston has a smarter jab. He picks and pokes in the right moments. Russ just throws him out there to fill out, and Boston actually throws him to land effectively and keep his opponent off guard and off balance.
I think, Sergio, we're seeing the difference for Sinead Boston here in round 8 as opposed to some of the, let's call it, less successful rounds that he had earlier. Now we're seeing the movement from Boston around the perimeter, lulling Russ into a sense of security and then landing some nice shots to the body, rinse and repeat. And right now, we're just seeing a good exchange on the inside.
No, not only that, but you can see that there's probably a little bit more left in the tank of Boston, and momentum has certainly switched this way. And rocking.
Beautiful
Russ
shot
right now.
there from Boston. The uppercut rocks Russ back. The right hand came behind it.
What a statement he can make if Starboy can knock out a fighter in the last round in a fight that he was having difficulty with.
Final 45 seconds and both men landing bombs here in the final round. See Boston back to the movement there, perhaps a tacit acknowledgement that maybe those exchanges are a little bit too dangerous for his liking at this stage in the fight.
Yeah, he took his shot, he gambled, rolled the dice. He's in there with a fighter, tough fighter, undefeated fighter, Gordy Russ II. It was a good showing by both. Boston made the right adjustments, especially closing out strong in this final round.
Tremendous exchange right to the final bell.
Good stuff. Credit to both these fighters, man. I mean, this is what you want to see from two unbeaten fighters. They gave it all they had, all 8 rounds, and both of them got as much as they gave.
Excellent fight, excellent matchmaking here on Before the Bell. A terrific test for two unbeaten fighters. And again, like we were talking about earlier, this is a fight that both fighters asked for. Typically at this stage in a young prospect's career, 7-0, 6-0, you're not necessarily calling guys out. You're waiting for the matchmaker to bring you something. You're going through the steps. Both of these guys said, no, I want another unbeaten fighter at this stage in their careers. They weren't waiting until they're on the main broadcast. They weren't waiting until world titles are on the horizon. They both asked for a tough test, and they got what they asked for tonight.
Yeah, and both of them are going to be better fighters because of it. win, lose, or draw, both these fighters are going to actually evolve into something differently. So they grew up tonight. They graduated to another stage in their prospect career. And look, that uppercut, that was money punched by Boston. You know, aside from the jab, it was those uppercuts. But he also was susceptible because of those uppercuts, because of the lack of head movement. So, you know, Boston was there to be hit, and he did get hit. He did prove he had a chin. I just think, yeah, Russ, you know, fizzled out towards the end.
I think, too, for on a PR perspective, Sergio, when you have brash fighters like Junaid Boston, you know, guys who are flashy in the ring, they like the trash talk outside. You like to be able to see them back it up with some guts in the ring, and we saw a lot of guts from Junaid Boston in this fight. We saw him buzzed, we saw him bounce back and have a strong final round. We are ready to hear what the scorecards are sounding like right now. They are in the hand of our MC, Mr. David Diamante.
All right, Glendale, what do you say we put our hands together out there for these two fighters, please? After 8 rounds of action here at the Desert Diamond Arena, we go to the judges' score totals, and they read as follows. Gregors Melenda, Dennis O'Connell, and Steve Gray all scored this bout identically, 79-73 for your winner by unanimous decision. Still undefeated, Starboy Junaid Boston.
So 79-73 across the board as the star boy, Junaid Boston, remains undefeated as he waits in the center of the ring. For Gordy Russ, we'll see if those two will acknowledge one another. It looks like Gordy might be on his way out. Sergio, what do you think of the scorecard? 79-73 across the board.
It doesn't tell the true tale of this fight and how competitive it was. 79-73 made it seem like it wasn't competitive, but you could tell by the face of the winner there in Boston. He got marked up. He got hit by some shots. He got scolded by his corner. He got yelled at for a reason. You know, the star boy almost supernova in there, you know, because this is he was one punch away from getting seriously hurt. But look, credit to Boston, all right? So that's the bad news. The good part is he passed the test with flying colors. On to the next one. He will be a better fighter because of this fight.
Well, coming up on Saturday, January 27th, it is the return of Jaime Munguia as he takes on John Ryder in a fight, Sergio, that absolutely promises action. I can't forecast it any other way. I am looking forward to that one. And we're certainly looking forward to seeing more of Junaid Boston. And look, in the career of almost every fighter that was at one point a top prospect, they have a fight like this where they have to test their mettle, where they have to dig deep. And this is the first time that we've had to see that out of Junaid Boston, and it's only something that he could benefit from moving forward.
And look, and there's no shame in it. If Boston would have struggled with a 50-50 fighter or a fighter with a losing record, then it would have been somewhat embarrassing on his U.S. debut. But he actually struggled, and he passed the test with an unbeaten fighter. You know, so a lot of credit to the young Junaid Boston for biting off more than he could chew and passing the test.
Big night for the Steel City Gym in Sheffield, England. The victory for Junaid Boston, and of course his stablemate, Sonny Edwards, in our main event coming up a little bit later on. But we're going to hear from the star boy. Let's send it down to Sofia Gutierrez.
Your U.S. debut, you got that victory. You predicted a knockout, but you still came on top. Tell me, what did you see in there that maybe we didn't see?
Yo, I don't know why you want to boo it. Can you do better than that? Yo! Louder, you! Louder! It is what it is. I didn't get the knockout. I didn't even get half of the performance what I was wanting. For my standards, below poor massively. I meant to be star boy. I meant to be the biggest prospect from Britain. I didn't show that to that. However, what I did show is that I could take a shot. I could dig deep under the not the best of circumstances. And I'm happy. He touched down the last round. Now I don't know what the referee was saying, but hey ho, it is what it is. I won every round. I'm delighted. Thank you to the American public who got behind the fight massively. It is before the bell, but it seemed like it got a lot of interest from the fans, and I'd like to congratulate Gordon on his part of a good fight.
And we know you've been training with Sonny Edwards. Tell me, how helpful has it been being able to train with him alongside?
Who, Sonny? Well, since it was like 12-year-old, it's always been a massive help. Didn't quite show tonight, but it is what it is. God willing, I've got the win. Joe McGrail got the win. Just for a few more Brits now to get the W's. And hopefully, God willing, Sonny does his thing.
And you're an up-and-coming prospect, quickly on the rise. Tell me, what's next for Starboy now that he's already made his debut in the US?
God willing, back to England winning titles. I didn't quite show that standard tonight, but we're going to get them wrongs right, and get back in the gym and get back to what I do best, and that's boxing and performing.
And in 2023 with a bang, what's next for 2024?
Titles, and God willing, a headline, the back end of next year.
Congrats on your win.
Justin Shackle back here in the studio in Glendale, just seeing Junaid Boston and Gordy Russ II go the distance in their 8-round battle. I'll tell you what, credit to both fighters, credit to Kevin Rooney, Tom Dallas making this fantastic fight. It was a great example of matchmaking here in Glendale as you take a look at some of the action that transpired as Junaid Boston making his U.S. debut again, all the drama during fight week, before fight week, building up, and over the first 2 rounds, you saw the ring IQ, the slick switch-hitting attack from Junaid Boston, timing what was a heavy-footed Russ with his right hand, and then things just turned. Russ woke up in round 3, then in round 5 again. Both fighters going back and forth, and it was a matter of really who was taking shots better, and that was Junaid Boston. He was dishing out on offense. But I beg your pardon, let me correct myself. It looked like Gordy Russ was taking the better shots. Overall, though, the offensive output as Boston was able to regather, box more. He was able to pull away, especially in the latter rounds. And then in round 9, some big blows from both gentlemen closing this one out. And Junaid Boston using that right hand effectively guiding him to victory as Boston comes away victorious 79-73. He remains undefeated, doesn't get the knockout, but Junaid Boston remains undefeated as he picks up the victory in his U.S. debut. Again, all judges scoring it identically, 79-73, as Boston picks up the unanimous decision. But this was a terrific example of matchmaking. Also, a great lesson for a young fighter coming over here, getting his attention caught in the middle of the fight, able to regroup and guide himself to victory over a very game puncher in a fighter like Gordy Russ II. So Boston victorious by unanimous decision. We already saw Joe McGrail victorious. We saw Albert Gonzalez come away with a victory. One more fight to go here on Before the Bell, and it is a pair of fighters that will, on paper, look like they will be putting in an entertaining battle. Arturo Gardenas, Carlos Mujica. There you see Gardenas, Mujica on the scales as we get set for this one. This was the footage from the weigh-in yesterday. Cardenas 11-0-1, 7 knockouts. Mujica 8-3 with 3 knockouts. And for Cardenas, he is going for his 10th consecutive win, trying to improve to 5-1 in U.S. fights. And for Mujica, he's looking to redeem himself after a very tough 10-round defeat against Dorico O'Quinn in the summer. Again, it was the summer bout in July in Detroit where Mujica and O'Quinn battled it out as they fought to a very close decision. O'Quinn came away victorious, but Mujica back in the ring as he hails from Venezuela, trains out of Las Vegas. He will be going up against the undefeated Arturo Cardenas. 4th and final match ready to go here on Before the Bell. Let's go back inside the ring with David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're set to go with a special super bantamweight attraction. Now making his way undefeated Arturo Cardenas.
Well, Arturo Cardenas grew up in Mexico idolizing fighters like Juan Manuel Marquez and Mikey Garcia, technically proficient fighters who also weren't afraid of a scrap. Certainly, he could have never imagined that one day he'd be learning from Mikey himself at times as a member of the Robert Garcia stable in California. The former Mexican national amateur champion is fighting for the 5th time in 2023 and couldn't have asked for better preparation to wrap up the year, training alongside Bam Rodriguez and Rayo Valenzuela. Cardenas headlines here on Before the Bell, so to speak, and sets the table for his training partner to headline a little later on here tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Glendale, Arizona, we are set to go with a special super bantamweight attraction. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Bet Online, Stagefront, and O'Reilly Auto Parts, the professional parts people. Introducing your 3 judges scoring this contest from ringside. From Texas, Jesse Reyes. From Arizona, Rocky Taylor. And also from Arizona, Chris Wilson. At the sound of the bell, your 3rd man in the ring, referee Chris Flores. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 8 rounds of boxing scheduled in the super bantamweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the blue trunks with the gold piping. He scaled 122 pounds bang on. His professional record, 8 wins against 3 defeats. He has 3 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Caracas, Venezuela. Please welcome Carlos El Pirata Mujica. And his opponent across the ring fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the red with the black trim. He scaled 123 1/2 pounds. He is undefeated in his campaign as a professional with a record of 11 victories, no defeats, 1 draw, with 7 wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando el hijo de Cefuayo, Michoacán, México. Damas y caballeros, Arturo Cardenas.
Okay, gentlemen, we went over instructions in the dressing room. I expect a clean fight. These trunks are right here, right good. Aquí está la línea. Right here, here's the line there. Touch gloves, go back to your corners.
So a potential all-action fight here between Arturo Cardenas and Carlos Mujica.
Round 1 box.
Round 1 underway. This one's scheduled for 8 rounds in the 122-pound division. Some concessions were made on the scale. Cardenas was allowed to weigh a little bit over the limit, came in at 123.4. I mentioned Mujica's performance last time out against Jericho Quinn. It was on the Baumgartner-Leonardado undercard, aired live here on DAZN. Arturo Cardenas last time out scored an 8-round decision victory over Sebastian Tinoco in August of this year. That was a pretty close and competitive win against the 5-7-2 Sebastian Tinoco, but Tinoco, another one of those fighters who's a lot tougher than his record would indicate. You see Mujica working the jab here in the early going. His trainer, Jason Gallegos, told us earlier on today that the game plan for them is to mostly work the jab in the early going, but then around round 3 or so, to try and just turn this, Sergio, into a test of fitness. See who's in better shape, test him on the inside, and in their words, turn this into a war.
I would disagree. I wouldn't like to see Carlos Mujica turn this into the war. He has been stopped early in fights, and I would think he would want to take this fight into the second half with Cardenas. Cardenas taking his time right now, poised and patient behind his punches. So he's right now, assessing the timing of Mujica, but you can expect him to explode pretty soon.
See Cardenas looking for that counter left hook. The majority of his offense is really predicated on that left hook. He'll move it around. He'll use it as a power shot. He'll use it as a decoy. But most of what he's looking to do is set up a big left hook.
No, Cardenas has a really intelligent left hand. It could be an uppercut, a jab. He can come around the guard and the hook. But his offense is dictated by that left hand. It's very smart for a young fighter with only a dozen fights.
You can see why it works for Cardenas the way it does too, Sergio. Just the way that Cardenas moves, the way that his body is bladed, but his upper body is still square. The movement in the hips, you can see why he could let those left hooks go the way that he does.
Yeah, because he's always in position to throw a hard punch. His foundation is set. He's not off balance. Even when he misses, he stays in control. Notice that he doesn't really pull back when Mujica throws punches or reacts. See how he stays in the pocket with hands up. He's real calm and collected.
10 seconds here of this round, a quiet round as Mujica was looking for. Let's see if the action will heat up as the rounds move along.
Yeah, quiet is good for Mujica. That was a good feel-out round. Nothing really landed in that first round, but Mujica was gauging the distance. Some good shots. Nothing landed cleanly, but it was ricocheting shots off the head of Cardenas here, so he already is getting the feel for landing these punches. I expect to see more action in the second round from Cardenas, who already kind of got the distance and the tone of Mujica's fight. So I would think Cardenas is going to come on the front foot a little bit, get a little bit more aggressive this round.
Carlos Mujica has been blessed with a lot of good work during training camp. Liam Perro passed through the gym for a little while. He trains fairly extensively with Gabriel Maestre, who was controversially crowned a interim title holder at one point. There's also his trainer, Jason Gallegos' son, Caipo Gallegos, who's a rising prospect in the 130-pound division. So not only is the record for Mujica potentially deceptive, but this is a guy with an excellent camp around him as well. This isn't your typical 8-3 fight.
No, it's not, and that's what you want to see with fighters like Arturo Cardenas. Who, you want to see them tested against fighters that are accustomed to being in there with different types of styles. So this is a good step up for both fighters, actually.
See Cardenas missing 2 uppercuts there.
And a round and a half in, I like what I'm seeing from Carlos Mujica. He's done some good shots. I appreciate the patience of Cardenas, but I also like that Mujica's looking for the big shot, coming on the front foot, coming forward.
You gotta like those uppercuts from Arturo Cardenas, and we mentioned during his ring walk, one of his early idols being Juan Manuel Marquez. You could see, maybe some of the seeds of stylistic influence from when he was a kid, the things he likes to do, obviously being borrowed from his ring heroes.
Yeah, it doesn't get better than a technical fighter with that uppercut, a beautiful uppercut and left hook by the Marquez brothers, and educated from that Nacho Beristain school.
Beautiful uppercut there from Cardenas, rocks the head back of Carlos Mujica, and if Mujica was looking for a war, the opportunity to start one has presented itself.
Yeah, and he started and he ended it quickly because you could see the thump in the punches of Cardenas and the punch selection. I mean, he dissected the body, came up under through the uppercut, the hooks. I mean, beautiful punch selection by Cardenas. But credit to Mujica, you know, he stayed calm under pressure.
Very smooth, controlled movement from Cardenas in this round. Using upper body movement to create lanes. You saw another uppercut break through. Looks for it again here on the inside. Excellent combination there from Cardenas. 3 punches put together, and he puts the exclamation mark upon it with that right hand.
3 punches. It was an uppercut, left hook, uppercut. Very difficult combination to throw without falling off balance. Really calm aggression by Cardenas. Look, nice body shot coming up right through the middle of the guard, piercing the guard of Mujica. Left and right uppercuts, Mujica, you know, trying to do the same, but the reach and the, you know, the slight hand speed is in the favor of Cardenas. And those uppercuts are nice, man. Digging the body, dissecting everything.
Round 3 underway. Former Mexican national amateur champion Arturo Cardenas, 11-0-1. Rising super bantamweight prospect, looking fantastic in that second round. A terrific display of upper body movement, of punch selection, and stuff like that. Those uppercuts from Cardenas have not missed very often. There have been a precious few of them that have sailed past the face of Carlos Mujica. Most of them have been popping the head back. You see Cardenas trying to counter to the body with those uppercuts as well. He lands one right on the chest of Mujica. As Mujica goes chest to chest, and right on cue, remember what the corner of Mujica told us, round 3, they want to just go to the inside and make this a battle of fitness, and that is exactly what we're seeing right now.
This throwback inside fighting right here by both fighters. You know, they're throwing similar punches, but you know, the more explosive, cleaner punches are from Cardenas, but Mujica's throwing, you know, good shots as well. It's just they're not piercing the guard as effectively like Cardenas punches are. But it's really good. It's pretty inside fighting, you know, the techniques there, you know, they block, they catch, they counter, they attack. You know, that's what you want, that's what they teach. And, you know, in Robert Garcia's gym, you know, knowing how to power box, you know how to box on the outside, but you definitely know how to stay in the inside, staying cool and digging down to the body, not smothering your shots.
Some good hustle here from Carlos Mujica, but the eye-catching shots are certainly coming from Arturo Cardenas.
Because he torques his body more into the shots. You know, you can see it. You can see it with the upper body movement of Mujica. See how even when he misses, you can see the torque of the shoulder twist. With Mujica, they're more of an arm punch.
Well, this is really elevated stuff here from Cardenas because, to your point, Sergio, he's working on the inside. He's staying on the inside, but he's enough on the back foot to do what he wants to do, which is still be able to pivot and move Mujica into the spaces he wants it.
Yeah, that's power boxing. You know, we talked about Juan Manuel Marquez. I mean, he was a master at that. You know, he decided when to be a Mexican warrior on his terms, but he was a new school, new age Mexican style where they can actually box with behind the jab and set you up with vicious uppercuts and just break you down.
These are, of course, elements that we
just
see.
Like that.
Yeah, just like that. Excellent shot, and that one might have rocked Mujica. And Cardenas seeing something, putting some punches together right now as the blood starting to flow from the nose of Mujica. Cardenas all over him here. The blood smeared across the face of Mujica to end round 3.
Like I said, Corey, new school Mexican style. Off the back foot, landing those uppercuts, then coming on the front foot for the attack. Look at this, on the back foot, right? Uppercuts, left hooks, and then Mujica coming forward. It's just, you know, everything's landing. The accuracy is on the side of Cardena. The speed is on the side of Cardena, just he couldn't miss, and you can see it on the face of Mujica, bloodied and battered right there in the corner.
Well, we couldn't hear Robert Garcia there, but based on the pantomime there, I think he wants more uppercuts, and why not? It's been working so far, and beautifully so, particularly in that 3rd round.
But does pantomime mean shadow boxing?
Sure, yeah.
Then you got it. Yeah, Robert Garcia pantomiming in their corner.
Wicked uppercut there from Cardenas, just rocks Mujica into it.
That's more timing than anything else. It ain't speed, it ain't power, that's timing on Arturo Cardenas.
Hard right hand over the top there from Cardenas, and Mujica taking steps back, either voluntarily or involuntarily. He is rocked right now. Cardenas is just on fire.
Wow. I mean, this is beautiful inside fighting. I mean, this looks like Virgil Ortiz in there. I mean, yeah, Robert Garcia teaches both and trains both these guys. And this is wicked combinations by Arturo Cardenas. You know, slipping to the sides, getting the angles, and vicious uppercuts.
He is absolutely battering Mujica right now. He has painted a crimson mask on the face of Mujica, and the towel looks like it's going to be coming in. The towel on the ropes, and that is it. A dazzling performance from Arturo Cardenas.
Man, Mujica wasn't going anywhere, so credit to the corner of Carlos Mujica, just submitting. They had to submit. It was only a matter of time, and the beatdown was going to come down because Cardenas was only getting started.
Yeah, you have to give credit to the corner of Mujica, especially a corner that was telling us before the fight, hey, we want a war. That's the kind of fight we're looking for. Oftentimes, you'll see corners like that act kind of irresponsibly, but that was an empathetic stoppage. That was a wise stoppage from his corner.
You know what, Corey? It was empathetic, but still prideful, because normally you throw the towel in.
Right.
But no, you just waved it, saying, look, we came to fight, we came to win, we waved the towel, we gave it all we had. But our man did our job, he just came up short. So credit to both fighters, credit to the corner of Mujica.
What a performance from Arturo Cardenas, and exactly the kind of performance that he wanted. Again, coming off that fight against Sebastian Tinoco that was maybe a little bit more competitive than he would have wanted it to be. On paper, it doesn't look great against a 5-7-2 fighter in Tinoco, who again is better than his record would indicate. But tonight, against a guy in Mujica who gave fits to Jericho O'Quinn last time out, just absolutely ripped him apart here tonight.
And it was uppercut fest. And look at the angles that he gets. Cardenas was getting the right angles to land the right uppercuts, and he was making room by stepping back slightly, coming in. I mean, look at the face. The face tells the story of how many punches landed on the inside.
All right, we're ready to make this one official. Let's send it up to David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, the red corner throws in the towel, causing referee Chris Flores to call halt to this contest. The official time of the stoppage, 1 minute and 24 seconds of round number 4. Declaring your winner by TKO, he's still undefeated, Arturo Cardenas.
Arturo Cardenas remains undefeated, now 12-0-1, that being the 8th KO of his professional career. And Sergio, there was a lot to like about that performance. You know, whether you like action, whether you like technique, you got whatever it is you're looking for out of Arturo Cardenas in that performance.
And you can see it in the smile of Cardenas and his trainer, Robert Garcia, right there. That was just a beautiful performance. I mean, we saw a little bit of everything. I mean, whenever you say a fighter has so many arsenals, so many punches, you know, in his attack, we saw it all with Cardenas, from the jab, the patience, the uppercuts, the body shots, the defense, you know, the technique. Everything was there, just a complete performance, and you love seeing this with a fighter with only 12 fights. Brilliant.
A brilliant performance from Arturo Cardenas, who in mere moments will be standing by with Sofia Gutierrez. Sofia.
All right, Arturo, great win tonight, still undefeated. Tell me, what did you think of your performance tonight?
You know, at the first 2 rounds, I was kind of nervous, you know, but it's my first time on a big stage, but I feel really good. I feel really happy with all the work that I did with my team, and I feel good, honestly.
The first couple of rounds, you kind of let your opponent be the aggressor and come forward. Tell me, what was your corner telling you in those beginning rounds?
You know, at the first round, I mean, like, it was okay getting a study. I mean, like, we did probably start a little late, but then my corner, my coaches, they made me react. They were like, hey, what the fuck, man? Hurry up, come on, wake up. So I had to, and thank God we got the win.
And during the press conference, you said that your team came here to win, and you put in the work, and you did it. Now, what's next for you in 2024?
You know, I hope that Eddie Hearn saw me, you know, what he did. I hope he can give me a good contract. We did a good job today, and I think 2024 is going to be a good year for us.
Great win tonight.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Well, not only did his boxing skills take center stage in our 4th and final bout on Before the Bell, but Arturo Cardenas doing a great job in the post-fight interview. English is not his first language, but you could tell maybe his first language in the ring has to do with timing, because some of those uppercuts impacting a very hustling Carlos Mujica in round number 2. And Cardenas made those punches felt, the fluidity and the accuracy, the timing, completely on display. Cardenas busting up the nose of Mujica in that 3rd round, showcasing the timing, and then in the 4th round, more of the same. You credit Mujica, he came for a war, but his corner eventually putting up the towel, and the submission was on as this one gets stopped in the 4th round. Arturo Cardenas improves to 12-0-1. I'll tell you what, he's been very busy. This was his 6th fight of 2023, and Cardenas improves to 6-0 to end the year, and he's open for an even bigger 2024. He alluded to the fact that he was talking with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, so we'll see what comes of that, but Cardenas putting in a terrific performance. And let's not lose any of the context with where Carlos Mujica came from. Again, he put in a terrific performance over the summer in Detroit against Jericho O'Quinn. Here, he gets stopped. That, I think, tells you a little bit more about Cardenas than Mujica and the impressive work that Cardenas was able to put in this evening here in Glendale. Speaking of Mujica's summer opponent in Jericho O'Quinn, he and Peter McGrail will kick off the main card, which is coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. local time here at Desert Diamond Arena. And Peter McGrail watching his kid brother Joe McGrail victorious here on Before the Bell. McGrail will step inside the ring against Jericho O'Quinn. 10 rounds to start us off at 122 pounds. And then it is the U.S. return of Galal Yafai, back in action, ready to defend his WBC International Flyweight title against the 14-year veteran Rocco Santamaro. The co-feature in the final WBA Super Bantamweight title eliminator, MJ Akhmadaliev, back inside the ring against the undefeated Kevin Gonzalez. The winner there will likely get a crack at an undisputed title shot. Jesse Rodriguez, Sonny Edwards, the main event for the flyweight unification. Rodriguez putting his WBO flyweight strap on the line. Sonny Edwards looking to make his 5th successful IBF title defense in the main event here in Glendale. So only a couple of hours away from these questions being answered. It is Marksman versus Matador. Bam Rodriguez, Sonny Edwards. Can the Matador keep his red cloth away from those bullets from Bam Rodriguez? Just a final thought to leave you with here as we touched on a few key points in this fight. Sonny Edwards fighting on the back foot, excelling so well on defense. Will that be enough here in the U.S. and in the state of Arizona, where effective aggression is historically looked upon more favorably than defensive? Just above 47%. Both cannot be true by the end of our 12 rounds tonight. Something is going to have to give, and we are only a short while away from finding out what exactly that will be. So that'll wrap it up for us here on Before the Bell. For Corey Erdman, Sergio Mora, Sofia Gutierrez, our entire Matchroom and DAZN crew, we thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. The main card coming up here in the desert, 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. local, as we bring you Bam Rodriguez and Sonny Edwards for the 112-pound unification.
16th of December, Arizona, we go to work.
Jesse Rodriguez against Sonny Edwards is just a fantastic fight.
You now have one piece of the 112-pound crown. What do you want to do next?
Sonny Edwards, that's the only option.
I want to see an undisputed champion in the flyweight division.
Sign the contract.
Bam Rodriguez is probably the biggest puncher in the division.
That's the reason he signed with Matchroom and with DAZN. I think this is genuinely as elite can get.
The big unification to come against Jesse Rodriguez. He's going to have to be switched on for every single second of every single round.
Bam Rodriguez, where are you?
Rodriguez putting on the performance of a lifetime.
Oh, lovely long left hook.
All in, sink or swim.
This one of the best fights of the year, pound for pound.